Welcome back to Film Buff Bros, and in this episode, we're going to discuss our favorite Tales from the Crypt episode. And just before the camera was rolling, we were discussing whether or not there was a new version of the series. I'm not too sure if they continued it. I know they had the 70s anthology movie, the British one, but
Right.
we're talking about the HBO 1980s, early 90s Tales from the Crypt. Yeah, so many to choose from. I have a lot, which I almost feel like they're my favorite. The Christmas one, which we talked about before, we had compared the 1970s anthology one to the first episode of the HBO series. And I don't know, I'm kind of leaning towards that, but I'm choosing the episode 5, season 5 with Bill Paxton, Brad Dourif, and I think you were mentioning it has kind of like a of mice and men quality. Like you have like this kind of below average intelligence guy played by Brad Dourif. He's kind of being led by his kind of evil, not duplicitous, but we'll go for lack of a better word, evil brother played by Bill Paxton. He's taking advantage of his brother so they can like do this heist and he can get revenge on this ice cream man. And man, the cinematography is great. They have these pans that go like from the floor to then an overhead shot, and a long duration shot too. And I just love Bill Paxton, how he can like fly off the handle in a second. Like he's dealing with someone who is mentally challenged, and Brad Dourif does these things that set him off, because they're doing something that has dire consequences, and Brad Dourif keeps making these mistakes, and then Bill Paxton will fly off the handle. Great characters or supporting roles in it. And Bill Paxton's character is just like super interesting. It's comedic. Like he's eating butter, and he's like has the block of butter, and he's like taking out like the stick of butter like it was a smoke, right? And just like he's like, butter, offers the butter to his brother. Yeah, super funny, dark, and as with all the Tales from the Crypt episodes, the dark, ironic plot twist at the end is fucking really cool and grotesque. Yeah, huge fan of it.
Yeah, I was gonna pick that one. There's a bunch that I kind of had on a short list, and definitely all throughout the house is I think season 1, episode 2. So it was just
Okay,
like
I thought
right
it was the
at
first one.
the beginning. It was weird the format.
You're right.
of
The
show.
Executioner one was the first one.
Yeah,
right?
when they first brought out the show, the first season had like 3 like half an hour episodes. It was like a big long 2-hour thing, and then they just cut to the half an hours in the second season. But yeah, Pesci's episode. But I'll talk about some of the other episodes. But I usually like the first seasons of most shows. Like we're saying how Gervais kind of ends on a high note. But this one is actually my favorite because it's just fucking outlandish. Tim Curry, who played It, and Rocky Horror Picture, and all these other ones. Season 5, episode 1, Death of Some Salesman, where it's like Ed Begley Jr., great character actor, goes to this house. He's a kind of a shyster, trying to take advantage of people. He's a bad salesman, stealing them, and he works for like a funeral plot, like insurance company scheme thing. So it's ironic that what happens in the end of the movie. But yeah, story's great, character's great, but the highlight is, and I've only seen one person do this, Peter Sellers in Strangelove, but Tim Curry plays 3 characters in it. The makeup's crazy. He plays the pa, the ma, and this daughter, and the episode is just bonkers. Like it's just it's hard. I watched a bunch of episodes, and I was like, this is like the most bonkers episode by far. It's ending, yeah, great, and yeah, you feel like trapped with this con man. You really feel trapped in this house because they basically abduct him in their house. But you also, like, he tries to scheme and con his way out of the situation, which is also like really clever writing, I think. Highlight, yeah, is Tim Curry as the daughter. There's some really messed up scenes in the movie. Tim Curry's a freaking crazy dude. Notable, yeah, on the short list, the Pesci episode. I find Pesci kind of overacts sometimes. He's a little overrated in my opinion, controversial opinion, whatever. But Christopher Reeve has a great episode where he owns a diner, and they're feeding people human meat, which is great. And yeah, the Paxton episode. There was a lot, but by a big margin, I'm going to say that this Tim Curry episode, highly recommend. Like if you want to get into the show, it's season 5, episode 1, but like it's a good like representation of the vulgarness of Tales from the Crypt, and we were talking about all the sex and nudity and violence and gore in the show. So
Yeah, no, we both chose an episode from season 5. You know, I think a lot of series, they kind of hit their peak a few seasons deep into it. I guess another one of the runner-ups for me is the Arnold Schwarzenegger one. I find like the degree of irony there, you know, where the old guy replaces his entire body with Arnold Schwarzenegger's body. Yeah, so it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger sells all of his body parts to this rich old guy so that this old guy can attract this younger woman that he really likes. But now that so they basically like switch bodies, and then the woman ends up going hooking up with the old guy for his money. Like the old guy sells everything he has to have the body, but in the end the woman just wants the money. And just like that degree of irony. And I think the guy who plays him was the old cigar smoking grandfather from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I'm pretty sure it's that guy.
Okay, this is starting to ring a bell now, this episode. But yeah, the great cinematographers on the show, great writers on the show. You had Fred Decker, Dean Cundy, Robert Zemeckis. Like, yeah, you had great people working on that show. So yeah, man, great show.
All right, that's our episode for this week. Tune in next week for another episode, and click down below to like, subscribe, and please leave a comment and let us know what kind of movies you want us to review next.
Good night, kitties.